It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday morning joined other Muslim faithfuls in Lagos to observe the Eid al-Kabir prayers at the former State House located at Dodan Barracks in Obalinde, Lagos. Tinubu, who will return to Lagos on Monday after a trip to Paris for a global summit and London for a private visit, arrived at the prayer ground to the chairs of supporters and political associates. This is the first time he'll be visiting the state after he was sworn in as Nigeria's 16th president. Security operatives had their hands full controlling the crowd who had come to catch a glimpse of the president. Tinubu prayed for Nigeria's peace and encouraged citizens not to give up yet on the nation as the future ahead remains promising. Other prominent Nigerians at the prayers include the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, Lagos State Deputy Governor, Obafemi Hamzat, former ministers, Babatunde Fashola, and Senator Musiliu Obanikoro, among others.
Nigeria will see peace, stability, and God will grant peace to those of us who are in the war front. We spare their life, we give them victory. Those in the hospitals, we give them succor and peace, and keep them in good health, path to recovery. So he will just be spiritually uplifting. Have faith. Allah is there. Thank you.
It is only Allah that has made it possible. The weight of Nigeria, is not the weight that any normal, ordinary human being can carry, except with the help of Almighty Allah. It is evident, therefore, that the Almighty Allah is with our president. He is carrying the weight for him. It is clear to Mr. President, and it is clear to us, and those of us who fear God, that he will not be where he is today, not for the benevolence of.
Well, still in the spirit of celebrating the festival of sacrifice and, of course, Eid al-Kabir, Dr. Bati.
Oh, okay. It looks like it's Tinubu we now discuss every day, but it's okay. He's president of Nigeria, so he makes the front pages consistently. Yesterday, we discussed the same person, the fact that, he came from London via Paris to come and celebrate Eid al-Kabir in Lagos. His first major return back to his base, Lagos, after assuming office as president of Nigeria. So yesterday we talked about the ceremony, about how so many dignitaries went to receive him. And now the story is what transpired yesterday when he went to the Eid ground in Lagos. Again, he repeated basically the same points that he made in his original message to Nigerians on the occasion of the Festival of Sacrifice. He talked about sacrifice again, the need for Nigerians to be ready to make sacrifice so that the country can move forward. And of course, there's no quarrel with that. We all need to make sacrifice one way or the other. But the rub of it is that the Nigerian people, the ordinary Nigerian man, is already making sacrifice with the hardship, with the pain that many of us have had to experience because of sudden changes in monetary and fiscal policies. The only thing that Nigerians are asking for in that regard is that, look, our leaders too should make sacrifice. You cannot have a situation whereby a certain Speaker of the House of Representatives will appoint 33 legislative aides, some of them having very nebulous, opaque, completely vague responsibilities. What is he doing with 33 aides? Is he an invalid? We don't want the Speaker of the House of Representatives who is an invalid. Okay, yesterday the point was made about long convoys, although I tried to say yesterday that it wasn't Tinubu's convoy that we saw. It was the convoy of so many persons, dignitaries coming together. And that's a fact. Those who argue against this fact do so, as they wish, for their own sentimental and emotional reasons. The other question that the president raised at the Eid ground yesterday, in that tape that was shown, was about faith. We can't have a country if people don't have faith in it. Okay? And, that message on the point about faith is also very important. The reason, many Nigerians have not followed the Japa phenomenon is because they still believe in the country. And again, the only thing that they are asking for is for the Nigerian leadership to also show that faith by providing responsible leadership, responsive leadership, by showing that the leaders also mean well and that they want to serve, not just to benefit and collect rent. That's the other side of that. The president also talked about unity, on the occasion of the Festival of Sacrifice. He says we must all join hands together to work together. But, what is important in that regard is for the president to give the people hope, because he keeps referring to renewed hope, renewed hope. Now, hope is not something that exists in the sky. When the people see hope, they'll be able to identify with it. When a grown-up man who is a breadwinner in a family can provide for his family, that is hope. When a student that is going to university knows that, okay, this is a 4-year program, 4 years, he will be able to graduate. Not that he will spend 6 years to complete a 4-year program. That is hope. When a husband goes home and knows that there will be food on the table because he has been able to provide, that is hope. Not when you get home and you face a quarrel and the wife is saying you didn't put money down. Or your wife has to remind you that I used my money to prepare the food. That is not hope. So, but leadership is about what he talked about: prosperity, peace, stability at all levels, either on the street or in the workplace or in the home. So these are the important things. Again, what I find instructive about the president's first visit to his base after becoming president is that today he is going to visit some traditional rulers. We're told in the report that he will be visiting the Aujale of Ijebu land this morning. And from there, he will go to Abeokuta to visit the Alake of Egbaland. And from Abeokuta, he will go to Ilaro to visit the Olu of Ilaro. That's covering the 3 senatorial districts in Ogun State. And yesterday, after the Eid prayers at the Abuja Eid ground, the vice president went straight back home too to visit, the Shehu of Borno, where in the company of the governor of Borno State, where we were told he assured the Shehu of Bola Tinubu's support as president of Nigeria and all of that. So what you see from the point of view of strategy, these guys are trying to hold on to their base. They are trying to consolidate. They are seizing the day, as I have argued, quoting Sobelo, who wrote a book of the same title, by going home during the festive period to just drive up sentiments, identify with the people, visit the traditional rulers, gain momentum. Don't be surprised if by next week, President Bola Tinubu announces ministerial appointments, makes other radical moves. It's all part of politics, consolidating and trying to create optics. After all, he came home to Lagos. People went to receive him at the airport. There's been big festival. We were told yesterday that was come and eat in his house. Okay, but I had too many invitations. Otherwise, I may have been tempted to also show up at the come and eat. But I had more than enough to eat yesterday. As I said, I will report. Okay?
Well, Dr. Abate, I hope that also based on your promise that you brought some overflow for us this morning, since there was so much to eat yesterday. We're back at the Sala one more time, and we must recognize that Nigeria, and in particular Nigerians, are deeply religious people. Say what you may, despite the fact that it's one of the most corrupt countries for now, because we're looking forward to that changing. we do not joke with our faith, we do not joke with religious activities. And festivals like this, the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha, is an opportunity to express one's faith. It's an opportunity to speak to pertinent issues. Now, the president has leveraged the day to speak to Nigerians, to hopefully promote hope and assure Nigerians that under his watch, under his tenure, there'd be peace, there'd be stability, and Nigerians will be prosperous. The last point on prosperity is quite key, particularly with the report that was released yesterday with 4 million more Nigerians moving into poverty from the last 4 months, or the first half of the year, and even more to come if the government doesn't manage its fiscal and monetary policies effectively through providing a cushion for the most vulnerable in society. And this is quite instructive. Beyond the speeches, beyond the talks, what Nigerians want to see is action. And I'll take that back to the joyful reception of a number of people who turned out for the president's first visit to his home state, Lagos State, 2 days ago. And just to highlight the fact that people did it in faith. The hope and faith that President Tinubu was talking about was demonstrated when they came out en masse to receive him. But I hope that he would not disappoint the hope and expectations of people. All eyes on him. Of course, Lagosians must be happy to see that one of their own is sitting in Aso Rock as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But it's not just the pride in seeing one of their own sit there. It is the fact that, and a hope that he would deliver on the promises that he made to them during campaigns and to the rest of Nigeria and Nigerians during the campaigns. Nigerians are suffering, we can see it. The inflationary pressures due to fuel subsidy removal. We've had to deal with really tough situations, and in the course of today's program, we're going to be talking about that and seeing the plight, or just evaluating the plight of Nigerians. However, the president has consistently said the right things. He has consistently pushed his mantra of renewed hope. He has consistently said, let us all make sacrifices in due season, as sacrifices would count for something. We have also consistently said that in making sacrifices, the onus shouldn't only be on the people, on the masses. The leaders, our leaders and the elites should lead by example. Let us see them make sacrifices as well, so that people would know that we are all in this, and at the end of the day, we all want a Nigeria that truly works. This Eid al-Kabir also gives us the opportunity to pray. As I mentioned earlier on, Nigerians are deeply religious people. We know how to pray. I don't know who the people who are the perpetrators of corruption and illegal activities are, because everyone is on the prayer ground during a Muslim festival or during a Christian festival. But he said something. He said we must continue to pray for the nation, and everyone can see that the nation clearly needs prayers. He mentioned that in his speech, other leaders spoke, and they'd also talked about praying for our leaders. Yes, we will pray for our leaders, but we also hope that beyond prayer, works must also follow. So as we pray on one hand, let us carry out the prayers and not just say that God will not give us more than we can bear when we are the architects of our own misfortune. So again, he said the right things. We are hearing the right things in the first few days of his administration, but what we want to see is the action. We want to see him do the right things in the coming days, and we look forward to that ministerial list being released. Well, we'll move on to the next story. The Defense Headquarters, DHQ, yesterday pledged unalloyed loyalty of the nation's armed forces to the Constitution and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Military High Command also applauded the president for his support to the military and commitment towards repositioning the economy and reforms in the security sector. In a message to the troops and Nigerians on the occasion of Eid al-Kabir, Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, Major General Christopher Musa, felicitated gallant troops of the armed forces of Nigeria and their families on the occasion of this year's Eid al-Kabir. The CDS hailed the selfless sacrifice, commitment, doggedness, and determination towards dislodging existential threats to the unity, security, stability, and peace of the country. Well,
one of the things that President Tinubu said yesterday at the Eid prayer ground in Lagos was to pay tribute to the Nigerian military. And he said he prayed also for Nigerian troops in the front line. And in that regard, the president, as is tradition, I guess, for every president of Nigeria, acknowledged the enormous sacrifice that is made by Nigerian soldiers who swear to give up their lives to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria and to intervene when Nigeria is threatened in any way, even internally. And that, of course, has been the standard tradition. So it's not surprising that President Tinubu, but it is instructive that President Tinubu took time out to praise the Nigerian soldiers for the sacrifice that they continue to make. It's unfortunate, I keep making this point, that here in Nigeria, we don't, acknowledge the efforts of the Nigerian military that much. Because to a great extent, as I've argued elsewhere, the Nigerian military has been unfortunately civilianized. It's been turned more or less in terms of internal operations into an arm of the Nigerian police. But, it's still a very strong institution in this country. And so in other countries, if you see a Marine, a soldier, showing up at the airport, you see people clapping. People may even stand up out of, appreciation of the effort that soldiers make to the stability of the country. So it's important to hear the new Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, saying that the military will remain loyal to the Constitution, to the President, and to Nigerians, and to the country. That, of course, is the original mandate, of the Nigerian military in all the relevant establishment acts, and to wish the troops, happy Salah on the occasion of the festival of sacrifice. I think that is also in order, because above all, apart from the sacrifice that soldiers are expected to make, they are also Nigerian citizens. They are Muslims. They are Christians. They are part of us. Many of them, even as we celebrate, yesterday, today being public holiday, many of them are in camps in the Northeast and other theaters of strife in Nigeria. And they have a duty to continue to provide, protection for all of us. So I joined the CDS and President Tinubu in wishing all our gallant and valiant soldiers, those who have originally, professionally, obeyed the need for sacrifice, which is what indeed the Salah festival is all about. It's called the Festival of Sacrifice. What do soldiers do? They offer to sacrifice themselves so that you and I can be saved. So we wish them very well this festival, and we take very seriously the statement by the Chief of Defense Staff that the Nigerian military will remain loyal to the Constitution. Anyway, they have no option in the matter. They have to be loyal to the Constitution because that's the global trend, and that is what the people expect. Democracy may have its issues, but we enjoy it. After all, we have the opportunity to eat free meat at various festivals, okay? And to sit on television and express our views as we deem fit without expecting that anybody would act as a dictator in this place called Nigeria.
Absolutely. Well, one of the most hazardous, risky jobs is that of the military, and we must recognize that. In truth, as Dr. Abati had mentioned, oftentimes when we hear of our soldiers, our troops, it's to talk about or to analyze the security architecture or how well they protected the borders of our nation, and usually not in very good or flattering light. Yes, once in a while we'll come out and really praise their efforts, especially during the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. But as has been compared in other climes, we see how they truly honor men and women who choose to protect their nation, who choose to do so at the expense, where necessary, of their own lives. When a soldier leaves his home, he doesn't know if that's perhaps the last goodbye. Doesn't know if that's the last time he'll be seeing his family. They pay a heavy price beyond just paying the ultimate price. It's also that price of separation for long periods of times for their loved ones. These are things that we need to truly acknowledge. And I'm glad to see this morning, as we've read in the news, that the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, newly as he's coming to that position, has spoken to that and acknowledged the efforts of his troops. I think it's very important to highlight the fact that there's something about a strong leadership, and there's something very powerful about words. It could motivate, it could help people feel as if they can indeed take on any challenge at all. And even though, so this is an opportunity for us to make speeches like this, speak to our men and women on the front lines, but it's also an opportunity to tell them that Nigerians appreciate their efforts, that Nigerians are truly grateful for them, and that we recognize the sacrifice and commitment that they've already demonstrated despite all the issues or perhaps challenges that they might face, or what the current security architecture is. We're looking forward to seeing, as we often talk about the police, the army, restore the dignity of the armed forces restored, the dignity of our troops restored. And we're using this opportunity to also advocate for them in terms of welfare, in terms of allowances, in terms of funding in that area. I mean, the military usually gets quite a good percentage of the budget, but it's important that that money is discharged and it's not diverted to other things as we've seen in the past. Again, the right words, and also an opportunity to pledge their loyalty to country. And we are looking forward to seeing that play out in the next coming days, next weeks. We are hopeful. Nigeria will be great again. Our military will be great, as it's always been, and will continue to lead on the continent of Africa.